we're in round 2 of the Rugby Championship. After a great first weekend, I think we've seen some beautiful games in the first 2 sides. All teams really just performing. Starting off, I think let's just quickly cover the All Blacks Aussie game. Can't ignore them. The All Blacks once again showed it's an 80-minute game, and that's the beauty of the team and why they are the top. The Wallabies really tried the first half, smothered the ball, slowed them down. But once the All Blacks found their rhythm again after Super Rugby, they really just came up tops. So I think that's something we always have to worry about as South Africa when it comes to the game. They always just know how to finish out a game properly and get the upper hand somehow. I mean, it's magical sometimes how they do it. I don't know, but they do it. So yeah. Talking about the previous game, some of the top players on our side, I think Deanti had a stunning game along with Philly and Faf. Just the X factor and power from them is just insane. They really just know how to perform, and I'm hoping that stays. Unfortunately, X factor is something that is super unpredictable, and I think teams like the All Blacks know how to counter very well on that. And one thing that is again on the other side a worrying fact is that we had way more opportunities than we used. We had a couple of really close runs, a couple of fumbles at the line, fumbles in the last 20 meters. That really worries me. I look back at the game and I think that that is probably our biggest worry. If we compare it to, for example, obviously this is the big thing for me is to worry about the big All Blacks games coming up, and we look at that. A preview of that was the Super Rugby final with the Lions and the Crusaders, and they just. Doesn't matter. You can have 60% of the ball, 70% at some point of the ball, and if you give them one sniff, they can take it. And I mean that's exactly what we did for Argentina. We just kept on letting them through on soft tries. I mean, if we look at the try where we just went clear holding the ruck early in the second half, it's frustrating that happens. I don't know. And even some of our defensive lapses in the first half when they scored their first 2 tries, it's poor. So I think that needs something that the defensive coaches need to look at. I don't know how we're going to overcome those. And I mean, but on the plus side, I think what we need to take from this game really is it was a rusty first, effectively after a couple of weeks of Super Rugby. At least we certainly saw a better start than we did against England in the June tests, which is great. And there was a stunning amount of X factor plays that come from players that have been playing for years together. Happened in this first game, in the first few minutes of the game. I mean, look at the cross kicks from Veli to Deanti. They hardly play together, yet here they look like they've been playing together for years, which is signs of quality training and quality coaching when it comes to the way that they're playing. So yes, I think that's stunning. On the negative side, unfortunately, kicking was a major problem. I mean, we can't give that many points away against the All Blacks or even the Wallabies. Even in Mendoza this weekend, if we do that, we're probably going to lose the game. We put ourselves under unnecessary pressure. We would have been ahead most of the game if it wasn't for that. So Pollard needs to pick up his socks, and he's going to have to scare Willemse chasing his heels, and even Elton Jantjies. I do not feel Jantjies is yet ready to try and fight back for the jersey. He hasn't shown his chops on that high level. But obviously it's nice to have 3 players competing for that top spot. It always puts pressure, especially for the World Cup coming up next year. Moving on to this week. It's Mendoza. The Argentinians play at home on fire, and let's face it, we're pretty much playing the Jaguars team when it comes to Argentina, and especially now that they have their same coach. So I am very, very worried about that. The Jaguars were on fire in Super Rugby, and yet they didn't maybe put as much potent performance in the internationals. But last week's game shows that they are dangerous, and at home they are even more dangerous. We unfortunately have a poor record there, which is something we need to worry about. Even the bookies have dropped our chances of winning to just 7 points, if that. So we have to be very careful of that. Some of the focus points of this game that I think is going to make some differences is that, as you can see, Franco Mostert is now starting instead of Peter Steff. Even though Peter Steff had a stunning game last week, I think he dominated. He really took the position and made it his own and put his hand up for the World Cup and even the rest of the tournament. But it seems Rassi has a belief that he feels Franco is going to have some strength, and he is a strong player, and has had a lot of time, especially in the Super Rugby, to challenge the All Black teams, the New Zealand teams in Super Rugby with the Lions. And I think the main focus there was to rest him for a bit before going into it. And you can see that that Rassie is definitely trying to prepare him to take over the rest of the tournament. Now, we've also got to ignore that Luet is waiting in the wings, which is also a strong player, and I hope to see him come back. But at the moment, the duel is between Franco and Peter Steff. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see those two battle it out. And it's never bad to have competition. That's always a stunning thing. So let's hope. I mean, there's always good to have that kind of challenge. On the other side, I think what is relevant and really important is as you can see in our team, is the experience is very, very lopsided towards the forward pack, whereas the back maybe much younger and much more youthful, which I think is showcased in the way that we're playing. We're playing a very controlled forward game, old forward game style, good South African rugby full team, but then the X factor coming from the backs, which I think makes for an actually very interesting Springbok team. So I think that should be very tough for Argentina to actually counter. The other thing is, one of Argentina's best tools usually is their pop game, their ability to keep that ball alive in danger, and they have really done well at actually doing that. But even in this last game, we showed that we have some quality defensive work to actually stop that. Our tries did not come from those against us, did not come from those pop plays, rather from mistakes on our side, things that we can correct over the course of the tournament, which is really exciting. I think that's major focuses for this tournament. I think we just got to hold thumbs that, again, it's got to come down to experience, got to come down to just not letting our away play affect us. South Africa has a notoriously bad track record away from home lately. I don't know why, but that's something that Rassie really needs to fix, because unfortunately we can't play everything at home. So let's see how it goes this weekend, and go Bokke. Thank you.